700 years ago, if someone had come to Oxford and stood here and said, I think everyone should be allowed to read the Bible, even peasants, that person would have been described as offensive. He would have been denounced, shouted at, and eventually no platform. 200 years ago, if someone had come to Oxford and stood here and said, I don't believe in God, that person would have been described as offensive. He would have been ridiculed, yelled at. 100 years ago, if someone had come to Oxford and stood here and said, I think a man should be allowed to have sex with another man, that person would have been described as offensive. He would have been booed, hissed at, no platform. So when today's student leaders clamp down on offensive stuff, they're actually carrying on a very long tradition. A tradition whereby the creme de la creme of British society take it upon themselves to police the parameters of acceptable thought and to exclude offensiveness from the academy.
Need to say it's not okay. This hate conversation was not their intention. We understand that jokes are jokes, things are things, but at the end of the day, if it's promoting hate and it's promoting discrimination, you are directly a cause of it if you're allowing it to happen and you're not doing anything about it, and that goes for anyone in this country.
Throughout history, the church, politicians, universities have always branded certain ideas offensive and have waged war against them.
Yet, you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
Today, student leaders do the same. They carry out one of the oldest, foulest forms of intolerance, intolerance of anyone who gives offense. But giving offense is good. In fact, it's essential. Humans have long had the urge to offend against the natural order, the religious order, the moral order, and in the process, they have pushed humanity forward.
A person that comes here and has crowds that go further than any eye can see, there's nobody that can see the end of this crowd. That's not somebody that lost an election, and now because of it, our country is being destroyed.
In fact, pretty much every leap forward in history, pretty much every freedom we enjoy is a product of individuals having given offense.
It costs twice as much to fill my truck up with gas. It costs twice as much to fill my cart up with groceries, milk, bacon, everything's more expensive. You want to add on to your house, that's all more expensive. That's a direct result of Joe Biden messing up the supply chain.
Having offended against the orthodoxies of their age. Offensiveness is not just something we have to begrudgingly accept. Offensiveness is the motor of human progress.
Donald J. Trump is now President of the United States.
The right to offend is not some pesky little part of freedom of speech that we have to put up with. It is the heart and soul and lungs of freedom of speech. It is the coursing lifeblood of human progress. It is the instigator of liberty and modernity and science and understanding. What a laughing stock today's student leaders are, that they can so casually dismiss the right to be offensive without realizing that their lovely, enlightened lives are the gift of individuals who gave offense. I know what some student leaders will say. Oh, but our no platforming is about protecting individuals. We only want to protect women from misogyny and black students from racism. So our intolerance is progressive. Please, how progressive is it to say that female students are so fragile that they can't cope with seeing a pair of tits in the sun? No, without falling apart. That doesn't sound progressive to me. That sounds paternalistic. How progressive is it to say that Black students need these wise, white student leaders to protect them from harmful ideas, because that doesn't sound progressive to me, that sounds neo-colonialist. The fact is, today's student leaders aren't protecting individuals, they're protecting an idea. And it is the most mainstream status quo idea of the 21st century, the idea of human vulnerability. The poisonous notion that humans are fragile and therefore our speech and our relations must be monitored and policed. It is this misanthropic, orthodox idea that they promote and which they protect from criticism as surely as priests once ring-fenced their beliefs from ridicule. In this choking climate, we have got to move beyond talking about a right to offend. We have to talk about a duty to offend. Anyone who cares for freedom, anyone who believes that humanity only